Hey everyone, Sergio with the Rideshare Guy. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Wheel. Today I'm joined by Larry from Santa Barbara County, a beautiful, beautiful place
That's right.
in California. I'm jealous actually. At this time of the year, I don't think there is a better spot, in the California coast. But I'm going to shut up and have Larry introduce himself.
Well, my name is Larry Richardson. I've been driving Uber since August of 2022, and I also started doing Lyft about a year ago, August of 2023. Since my time, I'm coming up on almost 2 years. I have done over 11,000 trips with Uber,
Wow.
and I'm a five-star driver, so I must be doing something right, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, they don't pay you extra 4 stars, but if they did, I'm sure
I
you'll
know.
be, I'm sure you'll be doing a lot better.
I
Uh,
do get good tips, though.
oh, I'm pretty sure. So what kind of car do you drive, Larry?
2021 Toyota Corolla Hybrid.
Okay, perfect car. That's the
Right.
perfect car for rideshare. Although I think the model is a little too new for my taste because in this day and age, the cars we drive should be probably at least 5 to 6 years old, totally depreciated cars because
That's true.
the fares are not there. But I don't know about much about the Santa Barbara market,
Mhm.
but we will definitely talk about that. So, what did you do before rideshare? I mean, you're fairly new, although your ride count is like a veteran. So,
Sure, sure. Before this, I was an IT executive for many years. I was heavily in IT. I have a bachelor's degree in IT, and I was doing everything. I worked for several different companies doing everything in the IT realm that you could think of, and always being the guy who had to be called when something went wrong.
you're familiar with this latest snafu or whatever it was. I'm not an IT guy, but
Oh,
I know, yeah.
yeah. I totally understand the Uber and Lyft apps and what they're doing, and so I have a good insight as to how to talk to them about what's happening with these glitches and so-called mistakes or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't intend to become an investigative journalist with Show Me the Money
sure.
these days, but then over the last 2 years, that's what has happened. And as you know, I'm pretty sure you watch us, and then, we do figure out things. I mean, although, look, these are brilliant people working at these companies, but for who they are or who they say they are, they keep saying we're a technology company, right?
Right, right.
Doesn't it seem like there's like too many glitches for a technology?
Yeah, way too many, and some of them are very suspect as to are they actually glitches or whether it's intentional.
Yeah, well, we have a saying in rideshare. There are two rules for rideshare, right? Uber and Lyft will never do anything that is not beneficial to them. And rule number
That's correct.
two is look at rule number one.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So IT career, so you're retired or whatever, and then uh
I just up and decided to leave my position with the last company and take a month off to decompress and do something else, and this is what I found.
so you got into rideshare actually when it was reasonably lucrative, just coming out of the pandemic, I guess, right?
In August of 2022, I started out. I was doing easily 2 grand a week.
Wow.
Yeah,
How many? I mean, obviously you said you have 11,000 trips in 2 years. So I
right.
will consider you a full-time driver,
Yes, I was driving 5 or 6 days a week.
five,
Yeah,
6 days a week, so 40, 50
10,
hours a week,
10 hours a day.
10 hours a day. Yeah.
I would average
Uh,
about 300 miles a day.
okay. All right. So what are your earnings looking like compared to 2022 when you first started? I
Well,
mean, there is a
yeah, I tell
very
you
steep
what.
learning curve, as we know. So,
Upfront fares came in the early part of 2023, and I went from $2,000 to now I was struggling to make $1,500 in the same amount of work hours being put in.
same amount of hours. Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah,
you guys got upfront fares late. We had it probably October of 2022, and I immediately figured out it was a cut.
yeah,
But
right.
so talk to me a little bit about your typical day. Like how many days? You said you work 5 days a week or
Sure.
10 hours a day. Obviously, it took you some time to figure out your market, although Santa Barbara is also a college town, right? The kids
Mhm.
are out of college now. You see Santa Barbara, obviously. Have you always, those 2 years that you've been with Uber and now with Lyft, it's been in the same town, right?
Well, actually, this is how much I like Santa Barbara. I actually live 40 miles from Santa Barbara. I live in
Oh,
Oxnard,
okay.
and I drive to Santa Barbara because that's where I do the best. Oxnard is halfway between LA and Santa Barbara, so I was able to go test both markets,
Yeah.
LA, the
Yeah.
Valley.
Well, Oxnard is in Ventura County, right?
That's correct, Ventura County.
Yeah. So yeah, let's tell our audience about this. So people, LA County is Ventura County is west of LA County, right?
That's
So the
correct. Yes.
second you cross the border into Ventura County from LA County, which LA County has upfront fares and destination.
Right. Hmm.
You step into Oxnard, where he's at, Ventura County does not have upfront fares or destination.
That's correct. You're back to the rate card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the rate card, good old rate card. See, this is what blows my mind, right? And then
Sure.
you drive
Sure.
40 miles, get into Santa Barbara County. They have
Right.
upfront fares and destination. What do you think that is for? Like, what do you think the reason is? Because I know for a fact that a lot of our audience from New Jersey, let's say, right?
Hmm.
They complain that they cannot, they don't see the destination. Uber and Lyft won't show them the destination because
Right.
they cannot go in. A lot of trips go into New York City, and then these drivers, the poor drivers from
Hmm.
Jersey, are not allowed to pick
Right.
up in the
Yeah.
boroughs. They have to dead mile back. But what do you think this here is? This doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I mean, in Oxnard, I can see all the trip information if I do enough trips in a row. If I decline too many trips and they say you're not going to get any more upfront info, you're just going to see the
Oh, you have the old 5 out of 10 there, I guess, right?
exactly right. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
okay.
if I don't do 5 trips in a row or I decline too many, then it's going to say, oh, you're only going to see the pickup distance and the driver rating.
Yeah.
You're not
So
going to
for
see
all
where
of
you're going
you,
or how much you're going to make or any of that stuff. Yeah.
yeah, that's a killer. So for all of you who are not familiar with what we're talking about, before upfront fares, we had the same thing in Los Angeles or in California in general.
Yeah.
You had to accept 5 out of the last 10 trips or offers for you to
Right.
be able to continually see the upfront fare. So you're constantly playing this game. Oh, how many have I declined? In the next one, it's going to go blind. You know,
Right.
okay. In general, what do you think that just shows? Like, does that mean we're truly independent contractors, or what's happening
I
here?
don't think so. I don't know of any business where you go and blindly accept trips or jobs where you don't know how much you're going to get paid, what's entailed. I mean, consider a plumber. Is he going to go to a house and just start doing a job knowing not what's involved, how much, what he needs, how much resources he's going to use to do the job and how much he's going to get paid? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense whatsoever to me. I mean, that's the um one of the prerequisites of the job. I got to know what kind of job I'm dealing with here, right?
Exactly. Right.
And yeah, I don't know. I actually, we'll ask Uber that.
Okay.
Between, LA County to Santa Barbara County is about 120 miles. There's a county called Ventura County in between, and they don't have it, but then the other two have it.
Uh,
So,
a lot
do
of
you?
my passengers in Santa Barbara ask, why don't I drive an Oxnard? And I don't, because I'll give you an example. There's a city called Camarillo about 5 miles south of Oxnard
Yeah.
on the way to LA. And a lot of times in Oxnard, I'll get trips from Uber for me to drive to Camarillo, which is 5 miles away, pick up somebody and take them less than a mile down the road. And they want to pay me $2 to $3 for that trip.
Yeah, that's what it is. And so, but you said you're 40 miles from where you mostly drive.
Yes. Yeah.
And do you dead mile it there, or how do you manage that part?
Well, I turn as soon as I get in the driveway in my car, I turn on both apps, Lyft and Uber, and I set a destination to Santa Barbara on
Okay.
both. And so then as I'm driving there, sometimes I'll even wait a little bit, go park somewhere in Oxnard and wait a little bit, see if any long trips come up to Santa Barbara. And probably about, a couple of times a week, I'll get a trip from Oxnard to Santa Barbara as I'm going there.
Yeah, one thing I hate the most, and I tell everybody this, newbies or whatever not, I go, I hate dead miling, right? Because it's
Sure.
costing us dollars. Although
Right.
you drive the perfect car for rideshare,
That's true. Yeah.
dead miling is not going to be friendly to your pocket. So okay, so I was asking you about your typical day. So you
Oh,
want to
okay.
work 10 hours, you want to work most of it in Santa Barbara County
Right.
where they have upfront fares.
Right.
And how is that market? I mean, tell us a little bit about that market.
Sure. It's actually very good. I always tell people Santa Barbara is a small town with big city amenities. They got a university, they got luxury hotels, 5-star restaurants, a concert venue, a zoo. I mean, almost everything that LA has, but on a smaller scale, they have it. And it's do that because of the wealth of the people that live there. There's a lot
Yeah.
of philanthropy going on there. What I do is I target the afternoon and nighttime riders. You know, these are college students, people going out to drink at the bars, people going to work at the bars, people coming, going to visit friends, coming home. I'll start my day about, I'll hit the road probably by 3 o'clock in the afternoon and drive there. The traffic is coming the other way at that time, so the freeway is usually pretty clear getting there. So I can get there in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And also, there's another town on the way to Santa Barbara called Carpinteria, and sometimes I'll pick up a ride in Carpinteria, and they're going to Santa Barbara. So,
Yeah.
Even if I don't get a ride straight out of Oxnard or Ventura, Carpinteria will give me one as well. And then I drive until about 2 or 3 in the morning.
Okay. And then do you I mean, obviously some people, or a lot of people probably would be going from Santa Barbara to LAX, or trips going into LA. Do you accept those, or do you just kind of stay away from them?
Yeah, it depends. If it's really slow in Santa Barbara, if it's a real slow night, I'll take a trip to Lompoc, which is another 50 miles north, or I've taken trips to the Valley or to Santa Monica from Santa Barbara. It depends on how slow it is. If it's really busy, I'll stay in Santa Barbara because I'll easily do a lot of trips there within Santa Barbara rather than driving someplace else.
Yeah. So do you go out with a daily dollar goal in mind, or how do you figure all this out?
Monday through Wednesday, I want to hit 250. On the weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I try to do 300 to 400 a day.
Okay. You said initially that you were grossing about 2K a week, and
Right.
Upfront Fare showed up, and now you're down to 1,500 in the same amount of time, right?
Right, exactly.
Obviously, your costs have gone up over the last couple of years, from maintenance and to everything else. And I mean, you're a smart guy, you've been in corporate America.
Right.
You know what's happening to our, costs, obviously. Do you figure all this out when you're driving, or you just put gas in the car and go?
Well, I originally started driving with a Nissan Sentra, and that was getting about 3 miles to the gallon. I got the Toyota Corolla last fall and started driving with it in December. And it gets 60 miles to the gallon on it, and has a 10-gallon tank. So I can do 600 miles on a tank. So that means I'm using half the gas I was using before.
Yeah.
So immediately I've already cut my expenses in half, mostly because fuel is like the largest expense I have. And then I also I found a mechanic that'll do oil changes for me, but he lets me bring my own oil to him. So I'll buy the oil at Walmart, and he'll do an oil change for $25, including the filter. Otherwise, if he does everything, it's $100 for an oil change on that car.
Okay, so you do know your costs, right? I mean, you factor all this in. Okay.
Right.
By the way, did you buy the car new?
No, I buy only used cars. And I paid, and so I got a pretty good deal on it.
Okay. How many miles you put on the car so far in 2 years?
When I bought it, I had 40,000 on it, and now it has over 70,000.
Over how many?
I bought the car in December of last year rather, October of last year actually, and it had 40,000 on it initially. Now it has 70,000. So
okay, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. So you're one of the drivers that, sorry about the voice, people. I don't know, I got a little tickle from my allergies. So you're one of the people that kind of confirms what I've been saying on our channel for a while, which is Upfront Fares has been a cut in earnings. Do you agree?
That's right. That's right. And to give you an example of that, the minimum fare I was seeing in Santa Barbara when I first started was over $5. I would never see a fare under $5. Now the lowest fare is $3.20. So
So I mean, do you recall, by the way, because I'm doing these series now, which have become really popular now, a series of 8 videos, because I gave up hope on interviewing Dara Khosrow, the Uber CEO. And the only reference I have is going back to the last interview we did with him a couple of years ago, which coincided with the release of Upfront Fares, right? And he said, the short trips are going to pay a little bit more, the long ones are going to pay a little bit less, but we're going to rebalance. It's going to be revenue neutral. What do you say to that comment?
I think they cut all the fares and rebalanced in their favor, because I mean my minimum fare went from $5.20 to $3.20, $2 cut right there.
Yeah.
I mean, and then And then now I'm saying I used to see fares going from across town 10 miles. I would see I would get like $18 for that fare. Now I'm getting like $11, you know, $10, barely getting $1 a mile.
Do you think they're passing those lower fares to the riders as well, or just on your end?
Oh, no, I don't think they are. The writers are saying it's costing them more, and they're the tipping is getting less because. And when I tell the writers how much I'm getting of a fare, I tell them I usually get 45 to 60% of the fare if I'm lucky, and they can't believe it.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
say, "Why all this money going to Uber?"
Yeah, I mean, you said you get pretty good tips, so I guess or tips have become not major, but a big part of your weekly earnings. So, what do you do to get those tips? I mean, obviously you speak well, you're presentable, you're outgoing. So, what other tricks do you have for our audience
It's
for
it's
them
not
to?
it's not it's not rocket science. You just got to have a clean car. I have a subscription with a car wash here. I pay $25 a month for unlimited washes. I go there every other day, get my car washed. They have a vacuum station. I vacuum out my car. I wipe down the interior. I make sure the door jambs are clean. The trunk, the edges around the trunk and the trunk lid are clean. Everything is proper. People think this is a new car when they get inside of it. They can't believe it's already, 3 years old.
Yeah.
I make sure I smell good. I'm shaven. I comb my hair. I'm dressed. Probably I got, I have a Uber shirt for look official.
Oh, look at you.
Free advertising, but
Where the heck did you get that?
I found them on Amazon. I don't, yeah.
That's funny.
So
Okay.
people see that and they think I work for Uber, but no,
Yeah.
no, I just want to look. It also helps because there's a lot of wealthy communities in Santa Barbara, and you go to a gated community, and you're showing up there as an Uber. If they see you wearing an Uber shirt, they're more apt to just let you go in, and you look official. So yeah,
Wow. I didn't know that those existed. So
yeah,
just for shits and giggles, I may get myself one of those.
sure,
Like give that theory a test and drive it in LA with an Uber shirt and I put a Lyft hat on. Maybe we'll see how it goes.
right.
So, are you one of the drivers? Because we do our surveys, and in most surveys, there is only one survey that's lopsided, which is we ask drivers. Well, two of them are pretty lopsided these days. One of them is, do you want to be an independent contractor or do you want to be an employee? Since you're wearing the shirt, I'm
Sure.
like, what do you want to be? You want to be an employee of Uber or an independent contractor?
Well, I'd rather be an independent contractor. And I'll tell you why. This year, because of them shaving fares so much and so much instability there with what I'm getting paid, I actually took on a part-time job with a limousine company
Okay.
to start driving limousines. So now the limousine company will send me. They have their own app that they'll send me jobs on. And if I don't get a job for the limo company, that day I'll go drive Uber and Lyft. But I'm always driving. So whether it's with Uber and Lyft or with this limousine company I've teamed up with.
So does the
And
limousine
I'm
company provide you with the
an
car?
employee there. I'm sorry.
Does the limousine company provide you with the car or do you use your own car?
Oh no, they provide the cars. These are high
Obviously.
end
Yeah.
luxury SUVs. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How's that going? I mean, it's probably more lucrative than driving Uber and Lyft.
It's going very well. I get the hourly pay is not great, but I do get a guaranteed 18% gratuity plus additional gratuities from the passenger when I drop them off. And of course, all my experience with Uber and being a 5-star driver pays off in that respect because these are not your average passengers. These are billionaires and millionaires. I'm driving celebrities, and they demand excellence, and anything that goes awry, they're not going to be too happy about. So you got to really be on your toes. And I wear a suit when I do that job, so
Yeah.
it really
Well,
ups the game.
I mean, but here's audience, pay attention to Larry, okay? He drives Uber, he drives Lyft, but then he's also doing some side work with a
Right.
limo company. I'm sure the tips are pretty good. He dresses the part, he does it, but it's endless, really, right? Transportation is such a big industry
Right.
that you don't have to be stuck on this hamster wheel called Uber and Lyft, right? You can
Sure.
expand,
Sure.
and that's what we always tell them. I mean, look, you use this for us as a stepping stone to something else, right?
Yeah.
So I ask this to every interview I do to
Mhm.
the people I interview. I said, give me two things you like about Uber or rideshare in general. Doesn't have to be Uber, and give me two things you dislike about it.
Well, okay. What I like about it is the freedom. I mean, I can decide what days I'm going to work, and I can, and it's just the intrigue of what's going to happen today. Who am I going to meet today? That kind of thing. Also, just an idea that I can take my car, which I already own, and go out and make money on my own without having a boss like an overnight soldier, micromanaging me, and I have freedom to just go, drive wherever I want to and make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the two things you dislike about rideshare.
Well, I don't like it when passengers make me wait forever, and I especially don't like the new 7-minute wait time with Uber. And I sent you a screenshots before about them
Yeah.
shaving the cancellation fees, as you remember, without even telling us, and that really irked me. I mean,
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that now for a couple of minutes. So, I do receive ridiculous amount of emails, but then I receive emails that I go like, okay, I need to pay attention to this, and it comes in a format that I can basically decipher the language and then look at
right,
screenshots and make sense of it immediately, like after
sure,
30 seconds, right?
right, yeah,
So Larry sent me one of those, beautifully put together, all the screenshots numbered. I'm going like, see, this is what we want to do. It may make my life easy.
of
So
course,
give me a little background about this trip. Look, it was an amazing trip. It paid great, right? But we're not talking about this. We're talking about the principle of the issue here. Okay.
sure. Yeah,
So
actually, it was.
I have noticed one thing that with upfront fares, right? What has
Mhm.
come is that, see, before, like your county, right? You have a rate card.
Right,
If a
sure,
trip goes longer, shorter, you're either going to get paid more or you're going to get paid less, period,
right,
right? Because it's like a meter in a cab. You know what I mean?
sure, right.
So, but with upfront fares, what I've noticed is that the error
Hmm.
is always, not, well, I would say 90% of the time is on the long end, right? So
Right,
traffic jam happens, trip goes 10 minutes longer.
right.
You go into black hole support and you go
Hmm.
like, what's up? And they go like, no, price was correct. I'm like, no, I just drove 10 extra minutes.
That's right.
With a rate card, right? You would have gotten paid extra because you didn't end the trip until meter kept running, right? So give us a little, color about that trip and what happened and what you do.
Well, actually, I'm glad I accepted this trip. There was a surge going on in Santa Barbara at the time, $24. So I drove to that area, and luckily I got there before the surge disappeared. I was surprised. I got there and I got the $24 surge, and then this trip came up. This trip took me up into the mountains above Santa Barbara, right up Highway 154, and it was a stranded family. Their car broke down, a Tesla. Imagine that, it broke down on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And so I was going to take their family back down the hill to the hotel where they were staying, while the fat father waited for the AAA to show up to help with the car.
Yeah.
So the upfront fare was $47 and some change, which included
Wow.
the $24 surge. And this is, I think the most was like a under 20-mile trip. So this is, very lucrative trip,
Yeah,
15-minute
absolutely.
trip. So I didn't take a screenshot of the rate that was offered, but I remembered it in my head because at $47, okay, this is good. So I went up there and did the trip, and I brought them down. 5-star ride, very happy, grateful. I mean, they were such a nice, group. They were so grateful I went up there and got them, because they had tried to ping several times for a ride, and nobody was taking the trips because Uber was only going to pay, $20 to go up there, and I even turned it down a couple of times.
Yeah.
But when they got the surge, then all of a sudden they came back and they said $47. Okay, boom, you got me. So it's always good. Don't accept trips if they're not profitable. Wait, you could get a better deal. But anyway, so I finished the trip 2 minutes faster than Uber had estimated, and I went 0.01 mile less than what they had estimated. And they only paid me $42. So I lost $5 somehow. So I contacted support and said, hey, I only got $42 on this. I was supposed to be 47. And at first they said that $42 is what I was offered. And I pressed them on that. And they said, no, it wasn't. And then they said, okay, here's what happened. You finished the trip faster than we had estimated, and you drove less miles. So we reduced your fare accordingly. And so I said, I looked at the time, and I think I did it 10% less time than what they estimated, 17 minutes versus 15 minutes. That's 2 minutes. So am I getting paid $2.50 a minute on a trip? I don't think so. Maybe it's more like, 15 cents a minute. So,
Yeah. Well,
You
you
know,
have a rate card in Oxnard. You know what your rate card is, right?
yeah, it's 15 cents a minute,
There
right?
you go. Yeah.
And so I told him, look, you know, I should only be getting docked 30 cents a minute, 30 cents for the 2 minutes. You're including the surge in your calculation for how much to reduce the fare.
Yeah.
You should only reduce the fare. Don't touch the surge amount. That's guaranteed $24.
Yeah.
You should just take the reduce the other fare, the $18 that was just the fare,
Yeah.
and calculate my reduction off of that, which would have been about $1.87 if they did that. They didn't do that. So then I asked them, so let me get this straight. So if I do another trip and it takes me 2 minutes longer than expected, you're going to pay me $5 extra? I don't think so.
Oh no. No,
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 no.
no, no.
So I just, when I get into support and they don't want to, give me, what I'm asking for, I like to, I'll take the time to go and talk with them and bring up these points to them.
Yeah.
It may not do any good with that particular person, but at least I have the screenshots and I can send them to you
Yeah.
or,
Yeah. That's why we're here for. And then, but
right.
let's not give all of it away, because next Tuesday, we're going to talk about the specific exchange that Larry had with with the black hole Uber support. And there's like one screenshot that really caught my eye. But then we will discuss all the details. So you guys have to tune in to show me the money next Tuesday. And so did they give you some money? Because usually if you keep pushing, I'll give you something.
The first guy gave me $3 and he said that's the most he could give me. And then when they asked if I was satisfied, I said no. And then someone else came on the line on the chat and they gave me another $3. So I got $6, but I spent about a couple hours to
Couple
get
hours for $6, but then you got this, well, 5+ whatever for that was the initial. But then so you did everything correct in this except one thing.
Mhm.
As we always say, you got to take screenshots of everything.
Right,
I
right.
mean, because they're gonna cheat you. I'm telling you. If you don't have that, you have the proof. But then your point's well taken, right? So you have 10 seconds, literally 10 seconds
You're
to
driving
decide.
and you have
Yeah,
another passenger in the car, and
yeah,
how do you got to take both hands off the wheel to do a screenshot? I mean,
yeah,
it's
absolutely. So dangerous. Yeah, no,
right.
I agree with you 100%.
I wanted to
So
go
we'll
back
get
to one point, Sergio, on my limo job. When I drive Uber now and Lyft, I'm in Santa Barbara, so I have a lot of lucrative, high-end clients or riders. If I sense that they can afford the limo work, I bring business cards with me and I hand them the card and say, here, I also drive limos. Give them a call, request me by name, I'll take care of you. So I'm working,
that angle as well.
that
Yeah,
angle as
no,
well.
I think it's smart. I think it's very smart. Well, obviously you like driving, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I mean, you gotta like driving, otherwise you can't do this thing. And
Right.
the amount of trips you have done in 2 years or less, 11,000 trips. How many do you have on Lyft, by the way?
Over 1,700.
So combined, let's say, I don't know, like
Well,
13,000 trips, right?
yeah, almost 13,000. Yeah.
So it seems like your preference is Uber over Lyft, obviously.
Well, I started with Uber and drove with them exclusively for a year
Okay.
before I started Lyft. And now I go between. I just work both of them.
Yeah,
Whatever's,
just go
like you
as
said,
in.
whatever's giving you the money.
Absolutely. Whoever's showing you the money, that's where you go. So
Right,
we have a couple of minutes remaining. So
right.
I could talk to you all day, because I think I love these kind of conversations where I'm
I can tell
dealing
you
with a
all kinds of things.
driver who knows what they're doing,
Right,
who also, is expanding, right? I mean,
right.
it's their business. And pretty soon maybe he'll just quit doing Uber and Lyft altogether, and then maybe he'll have his own limo pretty soon.
Maybe
So,
that could be.
but we'll keep everybody posted with that. So
And I do
uh,
have an octopus tablet. I was one of the first to get an octopus tablet when they first started coming. I got it in October of 2022, and that gives me more tips than I could ever imagine because people are just impressed that I got this thing in my car, that they can play games on, and
Yeah,
all sorts.
well, we've been talking about Octopus for a while now on the channel. And first of all, it's free, right? And it
Yeah.
generates income. So since you had it, how much money do you think you got paid by Octopus?
Almost $1,000 from
See,
them.
people?
Yeah.
See what I mean? And then, we have an audience sometimes. There are some knuckleheads in there. They go like, I'm not gonna put that in my car. I'm like,
Sure.
you don't want free money?
Right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. I don't have to do anything. Just turn it on.
I mean, free is good, no? Last time I checked, free was pretty good.
And this is kind of interesting. I also have a karaoke microphone in my car,
Oh, okay. All right.
and
Well,
college kids love that. And that I get $20 tips regularly. When they do that.
yeah, well, here's Larry. I mean, I'm gonna give him the last couple of minutes. Give us some advice, Larry. It doesn't have to be rideshare advice because I think your rideshare advice is spot on. You're doing everything we ask drivers to do.
Mhm.
Treat this as their small business and make sure you maximize everything that you can out of the business. But give us 2 minutes in closing. Give us some advice.
Best advice I can give you is to, my goal when I get a rider in my car is I want to make that the best moment of their day. And it doesn't take much. I just got to say hello to them, greet them by name, ask them if they're comfortable, the temperature's okay. I got water in the car for them, phone charger if they need it, and I drive very safely. I
Yeah.
used to work for a company that pioneered safe driving. We built the black box for the automobile, and it recorded overspeeds, overforces, and hard turns, and gave drivers live feedback, to modify their driving. So I drive very smoothly, no hard braking, no hard acceleration. And also, you got to kind of bite your tongue when you see somebody doing something stupid in front of you and
Yeah.
not, honk your horn or yell at them or give them a bad look, because you never know. I mean, they could come back at you with a gun or something. You
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
you gotta remain calm, and you just got to be professional. And also on the freeway, I always go 68 miles an hour. If I can go full speed, I'll go 68 miles an hour on the cruise control, and I always stay in the middle lane. I always keep at least a 4-second following distance in front of me, and try to keep cars being on the sides of me, because accidents happen when cars are close together. If you can get on the freeway and keep a area around you where there's no cars, you'll hardly ever have any chance of having an accident.
Yeah. Well, here's Larry from Ventura County, Santa Barbara County, mostly Santa Barbara County.
Sure.
He's enjoying what he's doing, right? He's doing it the right way, first of all. And more importantly, he has an amazing attitude about what he's doing because I believe attitude really makes a huge difference in what we're doing in life in general. It doesn't have to be rideshare. And I want to thank you, man. I appreciate it. And then, I'm sure you'll watch your screenshots fly by next week on Show Me the
Sure.
Money because
I'll,
to me, it's like this is what every driver needs to do to, squeeze some more dollars that was originally theirs. But then, you know, Uber kind of has a way of grabbing these pennies and dollars, multiply that times billions of trips they do. It adds to a lot of money. And unfortunately, a lot of drivers don't pay any attention to any of that. And then they leave all that money on the table. So
sure.
thank you, Larry. Much appreciated. And
I got to
I
give.
do go to by the way, I do go to fishing, overnight fishing from Cisco's.
Oh, sure, I know them. Yeah, but
Yeah, right. So one of
okay.
these days when I'm doing that, I'll let you know ahead of time. We
Yeah,
can grab some dinner or whatever.
that'd be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for
Okay,
doing this. I appreciate it.
sure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for watching this episode of Behind the Wheel on the Rideshare Guy. We've been doing these interviews for the past 6 months with very successful drivers from different cities around the nation. Click here for another episode. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications for other episodes of Behind the Wheel as well as amazing content on our channel.